like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
The K-pop universe has a strange way of catching fire, sometimes over something enormous, and sometimes over something so small it feels almost absurd. This time, it began with a tiny red mark. A simple photograph of BTS's Jimin, arm lifted casually during a livestream, revealed a faint red spot near his shoulder. It was harmless, ordinary, barely worth a glance. Yet within minutes, that single image began to spread across the internet like a spark leaping into dry grass. The reason? Jimin, with his trademark soft laugh, had referred to it as an insect bite. But to millions of fans, that innocent explanation sounded just a little too familiar, because not long ago, Jungkook had been seen with a mark in almost the exact same spot. And just like that, a quiet evening turned into a worldwide conversation. Within hours, insect bite became one of the most talked about phrases on X, formerly Twitter. Timelines overflowed with hashtags like hashtag Jimin and Jungkook and hashtag Jikook, accompanied by screenshots, zoom-ins, and endless theories. What began as a casual live stream spiraled into yet another wave of fascination, part humor, part nostalgia, part longing. Fans asked the same question that has followed these two for years. Was it coincidence? Or something more? During the broadcast, Jimin laughed when a fan asked about the reddish mark. "Oh, this? It's just a bug bite," he said, voice light, eyes sparkling. But for those who've watched him closely over the years, the moment didn't feel so simple. The way his gaze flickered away from the camera, the shy grin tugging at his lips, and that subtle pause before he changed the topic, it all carried the familiar rhythm of something unspoken. It wasn't about the words themselves, but about what lived between them. Soon, clips from Jungkook's older vlog began resurfacing. There he was, dressed in black, sleeves rolled up, a faint red mark visible near his shoulder. The similarities were uncanny. When both moments were placed side by side, fans couldn't contain their laughter and disbelief. Why are they always matching like this? One tweet read, collecting tens of thousands of likes. If it's really an insect bite, that insect must be loyal, another joked. What started as a light-hearted joke quickly evolved into something deeper, a realization that Jimin and Jungkook don't really hide their closeness anymore. They no longer over-explain. They don't rush to correct assumptions. They simply smile, as if silently saying, "Believe what you want, we're fine." For longtime fans, it felt like a memory returning. Since their earliest days, Jimin and Jungkook have shared a chemistry that's impossible to stage, a rhythm of glances, laughter, and understanding that seems to exist entirely in its own language. Over the years, that language has evolved. What once looked like playful teasing between two young idols has deepened into something calmer, more mature, yet still just as magnetic. Now that both have stepped into their solo careers, every detail between them, every shared joke, every subtle mirror of behavior, is magnified 100 times over. The insect bite was no different. To most people it was a red mark. To armies who've spent a decade learning the dialect of Jimin and Jungkook, it was something else entirely. A spark of recognition, a tiny moment that whispered, they're still in sync. And then, as if the story needed another twist, Jungkook appeared online just hours later. He was dressed comfortably in a hoodie, hair slightly messy, scrolling through comments as his chat filled with emojis and teasing remarks. One fan wrote, "Jimin said it's an insect bite, but you have the same mark. Do you share the same insect?" Jungkook froze for half a second, cheeks pink, and then smiled, a soft, helpless laugh breaking through. He shook his head but said nothing. No denial, no clarification, just that knowing grin. It was the kind of silence that spoke volumes. In that instant, fans didn't need words. They saw it, that gentle, familiar connection that has always existed between them, woven through years of friendship and trust. Moments like these remind everyone why Jimin and Jungkook continue to captivate the world. They don't have to confirm anything. Their gestures, expressions, and quiet reactions do all the talking. Fans call it the silent language of Jikook, a communication built not on public statements but on shared glances that last a second too long, inside jokes no one else gets, and the subtle harmony of two people who've grown side by side under unimaginable pressure. What's perhaps most striking is how comfortable they now seem in letting people see that connection. They don't hide. They don't perform closeness for the camera. It simply exists. Their bond, once filtered through variety shows and performances, has become something more grounded and private, yet paradoxically, more visible than ever. As the insect bite theory dominated timelines, another memory resurfaced, an old clip from Run BTS, where Jungkook teased Jimin, saying, "You're so sweet, even mosquitoes fall in love with you." Back then, it was just a joke that made everyone laugh. Now, years later, it feels like a poetic prophecy returning at the perfect time. Fans flooded comment sections with heart and mosquito emojis, turning the internet into a carnival of laughter and nostalgia. But beneath the memes and inside jokes, something gentler stirred, a quiet affection for the friendship that has weathered time, fame, and distance. Because, at its core, this story was never really about a mark on Jimin's arm. It's about two people who grew up together, side by side, through the chaos of global fame, learning, struggling, and surviving the kind of spotlight that can swallow even the strongest souls. From shy teenagers in shared dorm rooms to confident soloists commanding global stages, they've evolved. Yet, the bond between them remains as effortless as ever, instinctive, natural, untouched by the noise around them. It's the way Jungkook still laughs a little too easily when Jimin teases him. The way Jimin's tone softens when he mentions Jungkook's name. The way they always seem to orbit each other, even when their careers take them in different directions. That's why fans see more than coincidence in moments like this. They see connection. Continuity. Soon, a phrase began circulating online. Half joke, half truth. They're not denying it anymore. Not because either of them confessed anything, but because their quiet confidence is the confession. They don't explain. They don't hide. They just smile and move forward as if saying, "You already know." Maybe that's what makes their story so magnetic. The way they turn something as small as a red dot into a moment that feels intimate and universal at once. Underneath all the speculation, the real story is simple. They are two young men who've shared years of laughter, growth, and unspoken understanding. And sometimes, in the smallest gestures, in a glance, in a grin, in a teasing word like bug bite, that history shines through. It's not about romance or rumor, it's about familiarity, about trust, about the rare kind of bond that doesn't demand words to prove itself. In an industry where image is everything and emotions are carefully managed, Jimin and Jungkook's quiet authenticity stands out. Their comfort with each other feels rare, almost rebellious, a reminder that behind the glittering stage lights, there are still real people capable of laughter, embarrassment, and inside jokes that accidentally echo across the world. Neither of them has addressed the insect bite since. But their silence, as always, says enough. Perhaps that's why the story refuses to fade. Because fans aren't just reacting to gossip, they're responding to something deeply human, the joy of seeing connection survive despite fame, distance, and time. In the end, maybe it truly was nothing more than an insect bite. Or maybe it was everything fans hoped it would be, a small, fleeting moment that proves some bonds never really fade. Jimin and Jungkook don't need to confirm or deny. The way they move around each other, the laughter that slips out unguarded, the timing of their smiles, the way their eyes meet even in crowded rooms, that is the story. And perhaps, that's why every little thing they do together feels like magic. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's real. So let the world speculate. Let timelines overflow and hashtags rise again. Because while millions try to decode every mark and glance, Jimin and Jungkook will keep doing what they've always done. Living freely, laughing sincerely, and sharing the kind of moments that turn into legends without even trying. Because sometimes, the most beautiful stories aren't the ones shouted from the stage, but the quiet ones, the ones written in glances, laughter, and a tiny red mark that somehow made the whole world smile.